Did you bring any today?
Sick of it.
It went really fast? Not normally, unless I put some back for me.
Good morning. We'll call this the November 3rd Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up on our agenda are two sets of minutes.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes from our regular meeting on October 20th of 2025 and Township Assistance meeting from October 21st, 2025.
Second?
Motion and second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Accounts payable.
Mr. President, I'd like to recommend the claims dated October 23rd, 2025 to November 3rd, 2025 be approved without exception.
So moved?
Second?
Motion and second to approve the accounts payable. All in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes. Payroll.
Mr. President, I'd also like to recommend the payroll dated October 24th, 2025 be approved without exception.
So moved?
Second?
Motion and second to accept payroll. All in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes. Okay, we have an ordinance.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion we hear ordinance 2025-38CM, a rezone request from R1 and PDRS to R1B.
Second?
Okay, Ryan?
Yes, good morning. All right, well, we have a a revision to this from the, which I believe has been marked in your report, from the certification, the original certification. There's kind of been scratched out, but reduction from what was originally reported. Legal description of 32.419 acres is now 30.975 acres. So the legal description of the rezone area has been reduced. That's the only change that we're bringing to you. But the petition itself, single-family residential detached zone proposal, rezoning from the R1 zone, and it was a segment of the PDRS zone for a project that older PD to the south to the R1B zone. The proposal, this area is presently under study for the WIA Sheffield Township, so there really isn't a land use plan that's in the mix right now, so we don't really have anything to report on that end. So we do look at adjacencies in that instance, and that's what we did in our report. And we just kind of looked at the neighbors, and there's definitely R1B and a mix of other residential zones of varying densities in the vicinity around this area. So with utilities being available, and that there was reason to support this from a staff perspective. And so so we did recommend approval. The commission itself, I believe the final vote was 14-1, as I recall. But regardless, be happy to answer any questions. I know that there was kind of multiple pages there, and I believe the petitioner is prepared to provide some updates, and I believe a commitment that will be outside of the APC commitment process. It'll be a direct commitment with the legislative body. So any questions, be happy to take them.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Petitioner?
Okay.
Ryan Munden with RTS Law here on behalf of the petitioner, Lennar Homes of Indiana. As always, thanks to Ryan for his presentation. Since 1954, Lennar has built over 1 million homes across the United States and builds in 30 states, including Indianapolis and surrounding counties, as well as Northwest Indiana. They're the second largest home builder in the country. We've been discussing housing shortages and lack of variety in our market for a long time, so I'm personally excited to see this type of builder show interest in investing in our community. I also personally appreciate their willingness to work and collaborate with the county to achieve a successful project. Lennar has done a lot of things as part of this rezone that they are not required to do. First, we have a traffic study that we've shared with you. It suggests some improvements to the roads in order to maintain operation at acceptable traffic levels. On September 10th, they held a public information meeting for neighbors to come learn about their project. They've taken some of you on tours of their projects in the Indianapolis area. They provided a site plan along with their rezone request. They've agreed to provide a buffer between their property and the property to the west. Included in what I just handed to you are some details on that buffer. They've agreed to less density along the western boundary of their project to create a transition from the R1B to the R1 next door. And they've agreed to a density commitment. These are all things that they're not required to do. With respect to the site plan, I've also provided you with copies of the original site plan that was submitted with the rezone request, along with 2 updates that show changes that have been made since the APC meeting. As you can see on the first page, there are 9 lots on the southern portion of that East 450 South extension into the project. Shifting to page 2, those 9 lots are now gone. As Ryan mentioned, we reduced the acreage that's part of this rezone petition, so that reduces or eliminates that part of the project. Then shifting to the third page, we were previously dealing with orange and green lots, which were the 53-foot and 61-foot lots. We've now added the pink, which is 63.5-foot lots along a portion of the western boundary. Those are in excess of the standards even required by R1A. So as I mentioned, this results in a transition from the R1B rezone that we've requested for the whole project to the R1A along the boundary line with the R1 that's next door. Hopefully this shows Lennar's willingness to be a good neighbor and member of our community. As staff has said in their comments and report, the rezone is consistent with other zones in the area and is consistent with the comprehensive plan. If the entire project was R1, we'd be looking at roughly 83 lots by right, but we are proposing 102 lots on that third page site plan. It was mentioned at APC, but is worth noting again here as well that the current R1 zoning has been in place for 60 plus years and nobody has been able to develop an R1 project on this site. With all the things Lennar has done here, we believe that this is going to make for a great project for the south side of Lafayette. Lennar is excited about continuing to work with Tippecanoe County and make the best of this opportunity. I have members of the Lennar team as well as Kimberly Horn here with me to answer any questions you might have this morning, but with that, we would request your approval. Thank you.
Any questions for Ryan?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Okay, we're going to open this up. Please limit yourself to 3 minutes. First, those who are in favor of this rezone. If you'd like to come up and speak, we'll allow you. Seeing no one, those who are opposed, please sign in when you come up.
My name is Stephen Riggs. Before I begin my 3 minutes, I actually wanted to raise a point of order under the Robert's Rules of Order, which govern this proceeding. The proposal that was just voiced and moved for consideration here is materially different than the motion that was passed by the Area Plan Commission. Specifically, there is a change in the acreage that is required, and there was a specific limitation with regard to the amount of houses. And so Under a point of order, I would ask that this matter either be tabled or returned to the Area Plan Commission, because what has been presented today with the removal of the PDRM housing is different than what was approved by the Area Plan Commission. I'd like to address that issue. I have a copy of the Roberts Rules of Orders that allows me to object to either the procedure being followed or request information about that must be decided before I proceed. And if there's a parliamentarian or the council for the commission available, I have a copy for him to consider. This is addressed to the chair, that the amendment, the proposal from the Area Plan Commission is materially different than what was just verbally explained and articulated, and I ask this matter be tabled or returned to the Area Plan Commission for further consideration. I have a copy of the Roberts Rules of Orders if you'd like to review them.
Well, the issue would be you're not a member of the body entitled to raise that point of order, so it'd be up to one of them to do that.
Okay, then as a member, because Section 30.06 of the governing ordinance encourages public participation, so that if there's any information presented to this commission that will be material to the decision, that it was not available sufficiently in advance of the commission for the public to consider, comment, and then be able to file a timely objection on, that's also a basis under Robert's Rules of Order to either table it or have it returned to the commission. And as a member of the general public, I'm entitled under 30.06 to request that full public participation be enabled on this important point. So I'm asking one of the commissioners to consider that what was just explained was not what was explained to the Area Plan Commission, and ask that this be either returned to the Area Plan Commission or tabled for further discussion.
Or are you okay to continue? Or
I'm fine to continue. It was reduced and not added to.
You mean to move forward?
Right.
Yeah,
we will continue to move forward.
I'm sorry?
We will continue to move forward.
Okay, I object. With regard to the Roberts Rules of Order, I would then suggest that this proceeding is proceeding going forward unlawfully, and that there won't be any force or effect to the decision. Let me go backwards since I only have 3 minutes. Thank you for your time. I appreciate I've had a chance to meet with two of you. I want to go back to something that Mr. Munden said at the end. There hasn't been an R1 proposal for this site since 1965. That is factually misleading and materially untrue. It's been farmed by Dr. Gilbert Gutwein for years, and it was harvested in September of this year. So this is the first proposal. The staff report from Lennar is dated October 9th, 2025. Within 3 weeks after 55 years of being farmed, they're trying to change the zoning and adversely impact the property values of those families that are surrounding this. I've had an opportunity to file objections. I have exhibits here. Exhibit A is the introduction to the comprehensive plan that states that the comprehensive plan is not a formality. It should have, for all practical purposes, the force of law. As the staff report shows, that was filed by the Area Plan Commission, there is no plan in this area. The Weout Township plan is under consideration. That is another basis to either postpone this or table it or send it back. Moreover, the factual summary from the Area Plan Commission is factually incorrect. In the zoning history area, it says there's land to the north, west, and southwest also zoned R1. It completely omits the fact that half of the eastern border is R1. So this is the only area in the county ever in the history of Tippecanoe County that has R1 housing on all 4 sides, and the Area Plan Commission has recommended to this board that you spot zone, or basically bring high-density housing to our property borders. That's Exhibit B, the Lennar report. This is Exhibit C, if I may approach. This is Exhibit C, and this shows the existing zoning. In this area, there's no Weout Township plan. Both Stones Crossing and Hickory Ridge, north and south of us. Is there a place where I can leave this so that you can review it, or I can do it back to the microphone?
Yeah, because to be on the recording, you'll need to be on the microphone.
Okay, so both north and south of us, the Area Plan Commission has interpreted the comprehensive plan, which has the force of law in this community, to require that any high-density housing that comes up to existing R1 housing come up and the transition be accomplished in the land developer's new project. It does not extend to the outer boundary line. So the Area Plan Commission affirmatively is misleading the commission and has misinterpreted the comprehensive policy by recommending that this out-of-town developer come up and be able to impose high-density housing on our property line, which will diminish the existing homeowners' property values surrounding this project. Moreover, the Area Plan Commission person said that they looked at the subdivisions in the area. The two relevant subdivisions are shown in Exhibit C. It's Stones Crossing to the north, and it's Hickory Ridge at Ravenswood to the south. And in both instances, R1 housing or a landscape buffer with high ground and trees, similar to what encapsulates Benjamin's Crossing, was required to transition to R1 housing. Moreover, when you look at their comparison, they use Fiddlesticks, which is 3.5 miles away and surrounded by cornfield. They use Prairie Oaks, which is next to a mobile home park and a drainage ditch. That none of the housing units that they cite as a reference are housing units that completely surround a high-density project. They either border a major highway, US 231, old US 231, or a major county road, Concord Road, and they do not address the substantial issue here. Moreover, in the October 20th letter that I submitted, and that's also an exhibit, I have talked since the October 15th meeting. I have spoken to 6 housing developers here in town, and at that time it was 6, it's now 8. All of those 8 people, those housing developers, would be willing to do R1 around existing housing. Again, this has not been vacant, unused land. It's been harvested agricultural property up until 6 weeks ago. 2 of those people, Greg Malakis and Ty Vanderkolk, have allowed me to use their names. There are 6 others that have to do regular business with the county and are absolutely willing, not knowing that this was a premium space that was going to be available for sale. There is absolutely no factual reason based on the Lennar proposal. There's no zoning regulation that while the ordinance may permit this, there's no Weah Township plan in place. This should be referred back to the Area Plan Commission for faithful consideration and consistent application of the zoning policy already in place north and south of us. The only people being singled out are the people that border the Gutwein farm, and we're bringing in an out-of-town developer to basically extract substantial property values from us as homeowners and put them in their pocket. It's not factually fair, it's contrary to zoning policy, and it's contrary to the existing law as interpreted by the Area Plan Commission and prior Area Plan Commission interpretation of the plan and prior county commissioner decisions. At no time in the history of the county commission has spot zoning on all 4 been allowed.
5 minutes, so if you could just wrap up.
Okay, I'm available for questions. I've made several attempts peacefully and reasonably to discuss the fact that as R1 property owners, we have a reasonable expectation of privacy. It's already zoned R1. There is no previous precedent or a policy interpretation for this body that allows the extension of high-density housing to come to my back door. I did not start this fight. I and my neighbors are defending our property rights as Tippecanoe County residents, and we're asking you as the public officials to recognize and support those rights. So deny the application as submitted or send it back for further consideration. I'm available for questions. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anyone else want to speak opposed? Hey.
Yeah.
We sign in.
There's a paper right up there.
I think Mr. Riggs took it,
I'm sorry.
the sign-in sheet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is Van Sherry. I live at 2206 East, 430 South. And I'm here to express a concern that several of our neighbors have about traffic situation. In the past, Stone Crossing was proposing to put an exit out from their subdivision through what we found out to be a cemetery, but it was turned down factually because it was decided that there was too much of a traffic load on a residential street.
and now we're proposing to do it again. I do realize that this property will eventually be subdivided and built upon, but we have to think about the people who already live there. If we allow the road to exit onto 430 South, it's going to create a traffic nightmare. There are some evenings that it takes me as much as 10 minutes to get across the road to get to mail and get back. I may be 75, but I'm not that slow. Traffic is horrible already. If we allow that T intersection, it's going to really adverse the safety on that road. I know it's going to be developed. If so, consider shutting off that exit. Comments were made at the board meeting about having multiple exits out of a subdivision. If you close that one, don't allow that one, they will still be able to tie through Hickory Ridge and have an alternative exit onto Concord Road, or exit on Concord Road out of their own subdivision. And that would eliminate that issue of County Road 430 South. Now, it was made mention that the developer projected increases or improvement there. 430 South in itself does not amend itself to being turned into a 4-lane. It's a lot of the houses are set at minimum distance off the road. Set at minimum distance off the road, and they would not, without buying a bunch of properties, you're not going to improve that road. However, Concord Road, when you think about it, between where they would exit and town, there's only 4 residences. So you'd be impacting 4 at the most. But again, speaking for my neighbors, at a minimum, we need to at least close off that exit off of 430 South. Getting back to the comment about Dr. Gutwein, that had been R1 for a long time and nobody wanted to develop it, well, that may be questionable in itself. Dr. Gutwein, having known him, was a gentleman farmer. He had that ground there and some other ground up not too far from that, and he would not give it up. It wasn't until Dr. Gutwein passed away that this was considered. He turned down offers for that property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Jan Albertson. My husband Steve and I live at 2047 East, 430 South in Lafayette. We are neighbors to Mr. and Mrs. Riggs. I'd like to add to the information that's already been distributed to you. Exhibit I is what I am going to read. The comprehensive plan for Tippecanoe County was designed to be used by municipal and county governments and private developers to formalize the essential relationships necessary to develop privately owned land. The plan was for all practical purposes the force of law. 2, carefully reviewing the comprehensive plan housing section, which provides a framework for developers and residents to govern the density of the adjacent use and assure the capability of housing, which is essential to the quality of life in our county. The plan anticipates the zoning decisions will be the most important tool to regulate further growth and also protect existing homeowners' property rights. We're asking the APC to confirm to the county commissioners that no previous rezoning request has been recommended by the APC or approved by the county commissioners that rezones an R1 housing area on all 4 geographic sides to high-density R1B without a specific buffer to preserve the property values and the privacy of the existing R1 homeowners. I request the APC ask Lennar Properties to agree to the 300-foot buffer between the development of the Gutwein Farm for existing R1 households, exactly as was done at Stone's Crossing. The request that we are asking of the Lennar Properties to agree to establish a buffer of a high dirt mound and/or substantial tree line for any R1 household where there are no tree lines currently existing. At a minimum, we're requesting Lennar Properties to sign the APC form to provide a written commitment similar to the developers regarding Capistrano Highlands and West Lafayette, similar to existing R1 housing and abutting such, shall be developed to R1 standards as required by current zoning regulations in Tippecanoe County. We are also requesting the APC ask Lennar Properties to agree to provide in writing an established buffer or high dirt mound and establish a substantial tree line for any existing R1 households where there's no tree line currently existing. We're asking the APC staff within three business days after the APC board meeting last week to identify builders who will sign written commitments to R1 homeowners surrounding the Gutwein Farm to protect and maintain our property values and financial equity we now have in our R1 homes without the negative impact on our R1 property values, should it be zoned R1B. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak opposed to the rezone?
Is this a
You-
point of order?
you-
How do I make sure these are submitted or part of the public record?
You can put them up here.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else willing to speak? Last call.
I just want to submit for the...
You've had your time.
I want to just submit for the record, I've submitted exhibits A, B, C, D1 and D2, E, F, G, H, and I. Thank you.
Thank you. Petitioner.
Thank you. With respect to the comprehensive plan, there's been a lot of discussion about the comprehensive plan. There was at the Area Plan Commission as well. There was a staff report from 25 years ago that I think started the discussion about this transition to R1, and that had to do with R2 zoning. It was duplexes that staff 25 years ago talked about having a transition from R2 to a neighboring R1, but that transition happening on the petitioner's property. That situation doesn't apply here. We're not doing duplexes, obviously. Notwithstanding the fact that the comprehensive plan, nor the subdivision ordinance, nor the zoning ordinance they don't require this transition, we are providing for a transition. This is an R1B rezone, but the site plans that we provided you with show R1A standards on the western boundary. In addition to a buffer yard with the plantings and increased setbacks along that western boundary. So while it's not required, we are providing for that. And in comparison to a by right project currently, the 63.5-foot lots that are on the third page of that handout, that would result in roughly 7 neighbors to the Riggs's property. If it was a R1 by right project that could be done today with no rezoning, they would be looking at roughly 6 neighbors. So we're talking about a difference of one new lot next to the Riggs property, with an R1B rezone with the site plan that we provided you versus an R1 project that the neighbors are wanting to see. With respect to the traffic concerns that have been raised, the next stage of this project will be the subdivision process, which is where entrances and the roads and those kinds of things will be addressed. And as I mentioned, we did provide a traffic study, and that traffic study does talk about improvements to the entrances on 430 and on Concord Road. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have the commitment that was previously submitted to area plan staff. It provided for 111 lot cap on density in light of our updated site plan. We would be willing to reduce that even further to 103 lots to be consistent with that updated non-binding site plan that was provided.
Thank you.
I do have a question, Mr. Munden. Could you just give a brief description of what the landscape buffer will consist of, what it'll look like?
They would be staggered trees. I think it was approximately 4 trees per lot there along that western boundary.
Any other questions, Ryan?
No, that's all.
Could you just, what was the reduction in the legal description, the acreage that came over from I think Ryan said that, I forget what the numbers were, 31 to 30 or something like that?
Is that you're looking for the exact numbers?
No, I'm wondering what the reason was, what happened between A and B that resulted in that change?
Yeah, the part of it was addressing the entrance to the church property. There's a proposed roundabout on Concord Road entering into the project from that location. So it was driven primarily by what land do we need to accomplish that, but then also reducing those 9 building sites as well. So kind of 2 issues there that were addressed by removing that acreage.
Any other questions for Ryan?
I don't have any.
Question for Doug. Do we need to make a motion on the commitment first to amend the commitment that was?
If you have the commitment, I don't know, you have a motion pending on the rezone ordinance. The commitment is a separate thing. You can lay that aside and then pick up the issue of the commitment and do it first. Or as a practical matter, if you can see whether you pass this
And then
adopt the commitment. I suppose theoretically, if, 2 of your members could decline the commitment, but that's just.
Again, I just have a point of information as a member of the public. The amendment at the Area Plan Commission specifically capped it at 111. Just as a matter of math, if you take 9 lots away, the maximum would be 102, not 103, as Mr. Moonen suggested. It would take 9 lots away. The amendment would be 102. While we still object to this proceeding going forward, that's a matter of math.
And the reason for the extra lot is simply flexibility. As we get into the subdivision process, something might change with respect to street layouts, ponds, things like that. So rather than agreeing to something that locks us into some impossible to comply with commitment, that's the reason for the 1 lot difference. We're not trying to hide anything.
Thank you.
And that's a perfect reason to table this or set it aside.
Thank you. All right. Ma'am, you did stick your hand up. Is there something you want?
I have a question for him. You say you're number 2, but how many lawsuits do you have against you in Lennar? If you check and look and see.
Okay, that's something to be talked later, whatever else.
Well, I just want people to be aware.
Okay.
I'm going to make the motion that we amend the commitment that was offered at the APC meeting to limit the project to 111 lots and reduce that to 103.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to amend, change to this verbal commitment. It's really not a verbal commitment, of changing it from 111 to 103 lots for this set property. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. I do have, Mr. O'Gara, I got a question for you, if you would, please. And knowing that these 2 gentlemen are on the area plan, I'm not.
Yeah.
R1 versus R1B is basically just lot size, correct?
Primarily, yes. And I believe lot coverage as well.
Same size houses can be built on each set?
Yeah, minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet for R1B.
Okay, but the
And then-
houses itself, if somebody built a house on R1, they could build the same size house on R1B, could they not? Even though they have less yard to mow?
Minimum lot size on R1 is 10,000 square feet,
Okay,
and then you add the setbacks. So, yeah, you potentially could build more house ostensibly on an R1 lot. But yeah, you could build an R1B house in R1, for sure.
right.
Yeah. And yeah, so that minimum lot size is, the requirement. You can't go smaller than 10,000 for R1. You go bigger if you want to.
Okay,
Ditto with R1B. You don't have to stay at 6,000. You could go to 7, 8, so there's no maximum limitation on lot size. It's just then you get into just the limitations of the site and stormwater and infrastructure and all the rest, all those things that limit.
the other question
Development.
is, the comprehensive plan, which we just did with Wabash Township and Tippecanoe Township.
Yep.
Updated them,
Mhm.
what we did. It's basically a guide, it's not the Bible.
It's policy.
It's just opinion in a way that we think this is what's best as we go.
Yeah, it's
not
a
the
guiding
rule book.
policy. Comprehensive plan is a guiding policy. This area is presently operating off the original comprehensive plan from '81.
Right.
And its land use prescriptions. And so, obviously, a lot's changed since then. And so there are some kind of guiding principles in there relative to if there's, water and sewer availability. And then we have our own housing plan, which speaks to, if there's density adjacent, that
growth
sort of thing.
accordingly.
Yeah, right, you've heard all this before.
Right.
And clearly, there's development surrounding this site, so this, would feel what a lot of people would call like an infill site, potentially. So you use the comprehensive plan as a baseline, and then you look at the adjacencies, and then you make a recommendation. But yes, the comprehensive plan ultimately is a policy guide for the legislative body. And for staff, we make our recommendation, and then the planning commission makes theirs, and then the legislative body makes the final decision.
All right. Thank you for answering my questions.
Of course.
Sir, we're good.
May I provide a point of information?
You've had your chance to talk.
Okay.
You're good.
Guiding policy is legislative history to the statute.
So, do you guys have any other questions or such?
Well, I have a comment about the traffic piece to this, and I voiced a concern at the APC meeting in which I voted in favor of the rezone. I know that, and I've talked to a lot of people who are concerned about what the extra traffic is going to be to 430, and the fact that 430 can't, the likelihood of that being widened is really going to be difficult. But I will echo what I said during that meeting is I trust the process and the professionals in our highway department that look at these developments and come up with solutions that work and keep the motoring public safe. That's the end goal, and I'm confident that they can make recommendations that'll be on point for any project. Thank you.
And I would agree. I mean, 430 South is one of our most, obviously populated road in that, are densely traveled, I should say, in regard to the southern stretch and that road truly probably should likely be an urban, connector there. But I do think that during the subdivision process, that will be reviewed and, and it'll be determined what needs to happen at that particular intersection of, the new road and 430 South. Also, in regard to comments in regard to property values, I mean, these are properties that are going to, be marketed and sold at a value that's, higher than the assessed values for most of the properties that surround it. So I'm not sure that it's going to have this negative impact. In fact, I'm positive it's not going to have this negative impact on property values. I want to thank the developer here for some revisions, in regard to the buffer yard and reducing the home sites. I think that this is a good project for this piece of property, and I'm going to vote yes.
Well, I guess I'm just going to voice my opinion on this. When did we become a discriminating community to where we heard it at Rainy Brook, we're hearing it here, we're hearing potentially that they're at the Elks Golf Course next to Capilano, because that lot's smaller than mine, I don't want it in my backyard. So when did we become such a discriminating community? And that's what really bugs me the more and more times we keep hearing this. These are going to be good homes. These are going to be good homes. So, in saying that, Jennifer.
Murtaugh,
Yes.
Byers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-38CM passes 3-0.
Okay.
Just to clarify, that commitment, I'm not sure if I think you amended it to approve the reduced size. I'm not positive I heard you accept the commitment itself. That might have been the point of your motion, and I might have misheard it, but.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
I mean, do you want me to clarify that?
As long as all of the board knew what you're voting on and I was the only one lost, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
That's pretty good for us.
Yeah.
All right, we also have another ordinance.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We hear ordinance 2025-39-CM with UZO Amendment 123, large data centers.
Second.
Okay. We on the floor? Okay. All right. Amendment UZO 123, large data centers. The staff report kind of outlines the situation. The current situation we have for this sort of use falls into a category, the SIC code 737, which is a very generalized, all things computer-oriented sort of code. And it obviously is sort of an antiquated term that doesn't really speak to present-day situations relative to what we're seeing with the rapid changes in technology and the demands that these changes are bringing. And obviously the state of Indiana has already seen large data centers, these very large, hundreds of acres complexes. I believe Fort Wayne's contending with them, the South Bend area, other places. And while we don't apparently have any pending, we felt like it was best to get ahead of it and at least create in the interim a stopgap measure provision allowing for them, but giving them some sort of a narrow pathway and at the same time a little bit of space for staff to dig a little bit deeper and to provide a more formal amendment for these sorts of things. So to that end, this amendment that we're proposing creates a couple of definitions, one for a data center, and this is meant for the smaller operations that we already have in town. And that is indicated by the GFA, gross floor area limitation that is specified. From our conversations with folks in the industry in town presently, excluding Purdue University, which honestly they probably would fall under this as well, but obviously if it's trustee-owned land, they're exempt from this code. What we have in town already falls under this. And so we're trying to create a definition to sort of encapsulate all of them, to essentially provide a by right path as if nothing's changed. So they're currently operating under 737. Well, now they'll continue to operate as they do in the zones they are in, just under the term data center. So nothing would change for them. But if you want to go over 10,000, then the game changes. And that's what we lay out. We have a definition for large data center. And then the provisions are spelled out that it is limited to the I-2 zoning district, which is presently sparsely dotted around the county. And then they could only then establish it via special exception. So first they would have to either find a piece of I-2 that's big enough, or come to the legislative body to rezone it. And then they would have to follow up with a special exception to the Board of Zoning Appeals to establish the use with a site plan, conditions, commitments, whatever is called for, both before and at the hearing that the BZA would impose and entertain. So a very narrow path, but it's not a prohibition. We're just providing a path for them. And also, this path would give sort of maximum public scrutiny, because there would be a rezone action. So there would be a public hearing at APC. There would be a public hearing if it was in the county at this body. And then there would be a Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So that's 3 hearings, 3 chances at bat for the public. So not bad. So the sunset provision that's included would allow the large data center definition to expire November 30 of next year. So staff would be under the gun to get an update amendment, which we're now engaged in once we have some adoption from this body and the others in the APC. And we'll be looking at our neighbors that already have similar ordinances around the state to try to get something that works. And then we'll be back to you to amend this and have a continued discussion. So, any questions?
Ryan, I appreciate the fact that you did find a way to carve out for the existing companies that are doing business in the community and have been here for a long time. I've received at least an email that just said just ban them all together, and I think it was because they saw the news flash about the APC meeting and saw this moving forward. And I just want to remind folks that this is not, we're not set to do a moratorium on this. We're just trying to figure out a path forward and still allow for the smaller operations that do a lot of very important work here, not on the scale of what you're seeing in the media with some of these really big centers. So,
correct.
Yeah. And I agree. It's just there is, I think, some miscommunication that there is no large data center project that's being presented here. I've not heard of anything like that happening. This is just to make sure we get to the situation where if somebody did present a petition, we would be able to have a public hearing on that. And as Ryan outlined, it would likely be 3 public hearings on that, instead of just allowing them in basically neighborhood business, NBU, OR, GB, CB.
That's a lot of by right zones.
It's a lot of by right zones.
All they would have to do is pull a building permit.
Exactly.
And they pop up like mushrooms.
So now it'll be limited to I-2 with a special exception, which is a good first step while we work on a detailed ordinance. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Yep.
And I will say ditto on what they're saying. I mean, let's get ahead of the curve. We don't need, just like solar, we started and then all of a sudden we're coming back circling around. So hopefully we get the parameters put together from the get-go.
Okay.
So thank you on that.
Yep.
All right. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak opposed or in favor of this ordinance?
Hi, Stacy Bird, 2113 Fairway Lane. As a citizen, I'm also on the West Lafayette City Council. I'm also in favor of the I-2 zoning for data centers. It's going to give us time, oversight. We can evaluate the resources and the ROI of any pending projects in the future, as well as really understanding the long-term technology trends associated with the powering of data centers. I like the idea of eliminating the by right surprise. Perhaps this might be a comment for Ryan, but as we're looking ahead, I would really like to encourage us to expand the definition of data center to eliminate, a little bit of a definitional backdoor. These could be called server farms, computing facilities, digital infrastructure, et cetera. So we really want to make sure we're comprehensive with that. And I would also appreciate, I like the comments at the end about sharing what we're doing with adjoining counties, because as it comes to resource intensity, it's not just what happens in Tippecanoe County, but around us as well. So thank you.
Good point.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor or oppose this ordinance? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lisa Tarvin. I'm with the Stop the Leak Pipeline, and I'm just a little overwhelmed with all the data centers coming to Indiana, because basically it's like a load of mini leak pipelines throughout. So my biggest concern is large water usage and how do they treat their water. And that is something I see fighting White County and some of the other areas. They don't want the data centers and they're being forced. So I hope this would help us be able to stop some of that and not have to deal with what the other communities are having to do with at this time. So I think you have a lot of good ideas here. That's my biggest concern, is to be concerned about the Wabash and the aquifer and large water usage and abuse. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else opposed or in favor of this ordinance? Seeing no one. Jennifer?
Byers?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Murtaugh?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-39 CM passes 3-0.
Okay. Sadie, HR.
Good morning. I'm asking for signatures on our 2026 health insurance renewal, both our stop-loss carrier Veris and Anthem. The renewal this year is actually pretty decent. Our broker went back after our initial review and fought for a better rate for us, which is very appreciated. So our total annual fixed costs only increases 3.1% for 2026, leaving our total annualized expected cost just under 10% of what 2025 was. Again, that's our stop loss and our Anthem renewal, which is right in line with where we set our premium rates for 2026 as well.
Good.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve our 2026 Anthem renewal as well as our stop-loss renewal.
Second.
Motion and second to approve these two renewals. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Sheriff, Exxon.
I told him I'd take this one. This is,
Oh, make him get his steps in.
if he wants to come up. This is, 2 weeks ago, you approved what was labeled an acknowledgement of the existing master service agreement and 2 new service orders for Axon. Axon came back and said they wanted some additional updates to the master service agreement based on this amendment. So they presented what was called the Second Amendment to the Master Services and Purchasing Agreement, the invoices for I forgot, these are the tasers, right? Tasers for community corrections and the sheriff's office are the same as what you approved 2 weeks ago. So there's really no change. There's just an update in the terms and conditions, and I reviewed those and don't have a problem with them.
Thank you, Doug. Any motion?
I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the amendment as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Thank you. Rebecca?
Good morning.
some
A couple
contractual
of months
services.
ago, you approved a extension of our current Indiana Criminal Justice Institute grants. These MOUs were created by Doug to reflect that the extension of those grants and ultimately the services that they will fund for youth and families will extend to December 31st, 2026, with small changes in scope. We're able to serve more youth on probation and more youth referred to us through probation and law enforcement for diversion.
Okay, with that, I would move to approve, and I'll do these in bulk, if you will. And I would note that the not to exceed on these collectively is $60,000 for assessments and $228,000 for services. And those are contracts for Buck Black Mental Health Services, Taryn Dockery, Joseph Kidwell, Counseling Partners, Inc., and Willowstone Family Services.
And those amounts are for all of the term of the grant since it started in 2024, and we've already expended some of those funds. So that's a not to exceed of a whole grant funding cycle.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve these 5 contracts as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
All right, we have a loan agreement with the city or Clarks Hill. Doug, you want to start?
Sure. So the only thing this body needs to act on today is the loan agreement, but it's to the town of Clarks Hill, and just probably too much information, but there are 3 sets of documents presented. One's the loan agreement, that's what you're acting on. The second one is the series of promissory notes that you're approving the form of as part of the loan agreement. And the third one was a resolution from Clarks Hill that authorizes Carla to sign on behalf of Clarks Hill. That's what they're doing. You just wanted to see that the proper authorities were in place. The substance of this is it approves a loan to Clarks Hill in much the same way you did for Romney several years ago, same documents basically, with the disbursements in 3 stages. The overall loan is for $1 million for its design, renovation, construction, operation, and maintenance of the sewer treatment facility, which I think you guys know the substance of and can describe the actual issue better than me. But then the loans will be paid out in 3 installments of roughly $333,333, and you'll have the promissory notes in place for those for repayment. I think the expectation is that they'll be getting money from the wastewater state revolving loan fund program of the state and/or the U.S. Department of Agricultural's rural development project. But as with Romney, you need these things. They need money in advance to get things going, so that's what you're helping them with.
And the Reader's Digest version overall on the project is, and I don't know if anybody from Clarks Hill wants to step up, but basically they find themselves in a situation where the current system that they have that treats their wastewater is at end of life, and they're working with IDEM. And they have selected an engineering firm. They've got the preliminary engineering report put together, and they're ready to go to design. So it's my understanding that most, if not all, of the funds that we're going to loan to them over the next year for the design phase, so that they can get a project up and running as quickly as possible. So unless someone from the audience there has something to add, I will go ahead and move for approval of the loan agreement.
I'll second that.
All right, motion and second to approve this loan agreement with the town of Clarks Hill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. All right, we have a couple contracts.
Okay, this is for our, for this building and the courthouse chiller replacement project. We have 2 contracts to approve today to the lowest bidders for the project, Electric Plus, Inc., for $34,000, and North Mechanical, Inc., for $454,186. I'll make a motion, we approve both those contracts.
Second.
Motion and second to approve both of these contracts for our chiller projects. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Sharon, grants.
Good morning. This morning, I'd like to ask permission for the Health Department to apply for 2 different grants. The first one is for the Drug Free Coalition to support the recovery coaching at Gateway to Hope for the 26-27 cycle.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve grant for permission as stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
The second one for the Health Department is a request from the Health Foundation of Greater Indianapolis for their syringe service program supplies for the upcoming year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the request as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes.
I'd also like to ask for, on behalf of the solid waste, they'd like to request permission to apply for IDEM recycling grant under the County of the Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve this grant for permission to apply as stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
And finally, I'd like to ask permission to accept the 5311 Transportation Grant with Area 4 on Agency, the Rural Transportation, where NDOT is funding the Area 4 on Agency for the upcoming fiscal year of 2026 in the amount of $120,459 for the federal and $10,973 from the state public mass transit funds.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to grant permission to accept. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any unfinished or new business need to come before the board?
I have none.
Reports on file we have from the Building Commission, and that report will be over in the Commissioner's office for public viewing. Public comment.
I would simply ask for a copy of anything that Lennar Properties had filed or provided to the court, the new layout. I would like to have a copy of anything that they submitted to the commission.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? If not,
Mr. President, I'd move we adjourn.
meeting adjourned. Do you want my copy?